All right, Bill Flowers interview in 3, 2. We look at the Arkansas Razorbacks game through the eyes of a legend. What does Ole Miss need to do on Saturday? We'll find out.
You are Locked On.
Welcome to the Locked On Ole Miss podcast, the
daily
most watched Ole Miss podcast
Ole
out
Miss
there. I'm your
Rebels,
host, Steve
part
Willis,
of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every
Yahoo
day.
Sports and a former Ole Miss staff member. We're going to bring in Ole Miss legend Bill Flowers in just a moment to break all of this down this week. Arkansas, talk about Kentucky a little bit. It should be good. But thanks for listening to Locked On Ole Miss, and thanks for making it your first listen. Please give us a like, a subscribe, a comment on your way out. It helps everything, and is completely free. Check out a second listen on the network. Nearly every team, college and pro, is available. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is right around the corner. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now. So Bill Flowers coming in talking about what's going on. Bill, I was so encouraged by the Kentucky game, especially the last 3 quarters of it. I was nervous in the first quarter. I absolutely was. But they kind of figured some stuff out and was able to pull away.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting against the high-powered offense against Arkansas. With Petrino coming in, I feel like Ole Miss is going to have to put a lot of points up, and I think this the way that they're running their offense with everything stacked is kind of what we were hoping they would do last year, kind of keep everything kind of close in. It's almost like the opposite needs to happen this year. Their offensive line has not shown that they can protect Austin Simmons or whoever's back there as quarterback. The ability to get the ball out quick is obviously a strong suit of Austin Simmons, but it doesn't seem like he's going to have the ability to do the RPO and then have the ability to, or have the time to be able to go through his progression. So it's going to be interesting to see if they spread everything out wide and be able to run the RPO from a one-back spread wide, get the ball out quick scenario. So that's going to be what I really am interested in seeing is how are they going to be able to get the ball downfield and be able to stretch the defense.
Yeah, the funny thing about this is we spent a whole season last year talking about how Ole Miss needed to use the quick game and use the tight ends and just get the ball out of Jaxson Dart's hand. And this year it seems like everybody's like, well, we're not able to throw the ball downfield like Jaxson Dart. I honestly, this offensive line situation, if there is a situation, I don't personally think there is, but other people do, and that's okay. If you can throw the ball quick, it's going to open up down the field. If you can run the ball, it's going to open up the play action pass down the field. I think this is going to lead to a little bit more conventional offense and a little bit more quick game, and that's honestly a good thing, because if Ole Miss didn't use the quick game out of necessity after the first quarter, we wouldn't have saw how effective it could have been against Kentucky, and that is exactly why Ole Miss won that game.
Yeah, it's not. I would say the concern is going to be the interior linemen being able to keep the defensive line off Austin Simmons. If you're getting hit by a linebacker, it's a little bit different. The RPO seems to be, can kind of keep the linebacker honest. But if you're just getting whipped up front by the defensive line and them getting to the quarterback, there's nothing that you can do to fix that offensively except for get the ball out quick. And if that's the case, then you're going to see every defense stack the box and play man coverage and press hard and try to see, can our defensive line whip their offensive line? If our offensive line can keep them at bay, then you're going to have a very successful offense, because, like you said, you're going to be able to utilize the quick game, and then you're going to be able to get some protection to set up some longer passes. But if they cannot protect them from the interior line, defensive line, then there's going to be issues. So, we had your first game, which was a scrimmage. Your second game, there was some concern from the offensive line, and I think that's the big question that we're gonna get answered against Arkansas.
Yeah, I spoke with Todd Wade last night, and I was like, "What's going on with the offensive line? What are you seeing?" And he says it's a leverage play and it's correctable. This isn't a talent thing. It's just the offensive line is playing too high, which means if they play a little bit lower and everything, they can get all of this sorted out. That the time for Austin, the whole 9 yards, but they're just a little bit too high right now.
Yeah, and so those are the things that like Todd said, are those correctable? Can they be able to protect from the interior defensive line? And that's going to be the big question mark. And I don't think there's a concern about a quarterback. I don't think there's a concern about a running back. I don't think there's a concern about the receivers. I think the whole concern comes down to the offensive line this year.
The people that I've talked to this week mentioned that there's a good chance that all three of the Arkansas players that transferred in plays, and that includes Luke Haas, who's a tight end, which means potentially the 12 personnel that we love to talk about on this program, it could at least make a package appearance on Saturday with him and Daquan Wright on the field at the same time. And if that happens, that changes the calculus up a little bit.
Well, absolutely, and being able to utilize the middle of the field with a quick game with two big tight ends definitely helps a questionable offensive line. So I would love to see that. I think it would also help the run game, and I think it's going to you're able to utilize those tight ends in a flex position to keep to be able to get a mismatch. So that will be interesting to see. And obviously Kiffin he's got lots of things in his playbook. He has not shown everything. And so I think this is, the first big test. Not that Kentucky wasn't a test, but I don't think Kentucky's nearly going to be what Arkansas is. Arkansas has always been a thorn in Ole Miss's side. They always come to play. This is going to be a night game. I think that this is going to be a real litmus test for Ole Miss and what you have to see, because if they cannot protect Austin Simmons, then this is going to be a blueprint for what you're going to see every SEC team do moving forward.
Yeah, and Kentucky, honestly, probably defensively is a little bit better than Arkansas, but Ole Miss has not seen an offense as good as what Arkansas is going to put out on the field. If Austin Simmons throws 2 interceptions in the first quarter, it's going to be 14-0. It's not going to be 10. Yeah. And you have to punt, it might be 21 and the game's over. Well, so that is the danger.
And that's my point, is that Ole Miss is going to have to protect Austin Simmons to be able to put up big numbers. You're going to have to be able to stretch the field in order to put up, plus 28 points. I mean, you're just going to have to do that. Now if your defense is able to keep them under 21 or under, which would be a huge feat with a Bobby Petrino offense, then you know what? Hey, that is a offensive weapon that we have. But definitely being able to protect Austin Simmons, to be able just to get more than a 3-step drop is going to happen.
And honestly, they need to start changing the spot for Austin Simmons when he throws the ball. They need to roll him out, move him a little bit as well. I think that would help out a bunch.
Oh, I 100%. And that is going to, how's his ankle holding up? How does that look? With the backup quarterback. He came in, he looked good, he looked very mobile, and if our offensive line is what it is, so I'm not saying that they're not good, but for whatever reason, if you've got a real issue with being able to with maintaining your leverage and protecting your quarterback from offensive line perspective, you might see a lot more of a two-headed monster quarterback situation, because you're going to have to you're going to have to get some the run game going, and getting him outside the pocket running. So it's going to be interesting, and if you look at any championship caliber team, they always have a good offensive line and a good defensive line every time. So that's what's going to truly be able to make the season for Ole Miss. And I do think getting Austin Simmons, utilizing his legs, throwing on the run, getting him outside the pocket, will definitely help any issues that we have on the offensive line.
All right, when we come back, we will talk to Bill about the Arkansas Razorbacks and some thoughts on that game. So stick around for that. I do want to let you know, Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. You can feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from metallic accents to Napa upholstery. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but, from smooth handling to intuitive controls. With all-wheel drive, the standard is in every crossover SUV. You can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. It's almost the weekend, so it's time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more money every time you order, these players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it all down. For Ole Miss, Harrison Wallace delivered in a big game for the Ole Miss Rebels. It was 4th and 1, and Ole Miss was down 10-0. Everything was going sideways. The pressure was on. He came through, no hesitation, no delay, with a 55-yard reception on 4th and 1. That was kind of the play of the game. And if you've been watching week after week, this performance wasn't a fluke. Harrison Wallace is on a streak, and that he looks to continue that streak Saturday versus Arkansas. And just like Harrison Wallace delivered for Ole Miss, DoorDash delivers for your Saturdays. With DoorDash Streaks, you save every Saturday on your order. Stack it up all season, you can save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday and keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period runs through 11/18. Hey, do us a favor. Like, subscribe, and comment to the video. Subscribe to the podcast or the audio podcatcher that you're listening to. Give it a 5-star review. It costs nothing, but it helps keeps all of this free. If you want more, join the Insiders program on the subtext link down below. No trolls, 14-day free trial, and the easiest way ever to cancel. So don't forget to check out a second listen on the network. Nearly every team, college or pro, is ready for you. All right, Bill. One thing that's interesting in this game that I am going to be looking at, other than the slow start thing, because we've kind of beat that into the ground at this point, I'm looking to see how the Ole Miss defense deals with Bobby Petrino, because in 2023, when he was the offensive coordinator at Texas A&M, in the second half, he made Max Johnson look like Tom Brady at quarterback, and Texas A&M almost came back and won that game. Last year at Arkansas, without Taylen Green at quarterback, he was able to put 31 points on the board, the highest output against the Ole Miss Rebels. For whatever reason, he seems to have Pete Golding's number. What can Ole Miss do to kind of slow down this Petrino offense?
I really do think that the ability to utilize the athleticism that Ole Miss has on defense, the aggressive nature that Pete Golden has, to be able to really confuse the quarterback. I think the more that you're able to put pressure on a quarterback, the more that you're able to disguise is really what it is going to make a difference against a Petrino offense. The more confused that you can get that quarterback with pressure coming in on him, the better the chances of us being able to create turnovers, create mistakes. I think that's the key. And one thing that I will say about Ole Miss that we could take away from last week was their ability to continue to stay focused and not give up. They were down 10-0. They looked like this wasn't something like you would see in the past. So I think that the fact that they were on the road, they were down, they came back, they got their stuff together, was a huge testament to the maturity of this team. So I think with Pete Golden, his ability to create complex schemes and confuse the quarterback, I think that's the key. Blitz, get Perkins in the backfield as much as possible, make things difficult on pre-snap read, post-snap. To me, is the best way to limit the ability to put up points.
And I hate to say this name because there's going to be Ole Miss fans listening to this. It's going to have an aneurysm. But you played in that 7 overtime game. There's a little bit of Matt Jones in that Taylen Green game with the way he's able to run around. What do you do defensively when you play players like that?
So you obviously have to have a spy on him. But, again, being able to get pressure, being able to get somebody free to put pressure on him, being able to use your big defensive line to be able to stalemate, it's very much like when we played Florida with Tim Tebow. I remember, talking about it, before the week. And I said, listen, what you've got to do is you've got to utilize the strengths of our defense, which is where our defensive ends. You have to create a net. You've got to be able to contain the perimeter of the defensive ends. And if he's going to run, he has to run up the middle. And if he runs up the middle, then you've got your spy and you've got your defensive line creating a stalemate. To me, that's what you've got to do. And that's why it's important that you're bringing pressure. So you don't want, if he's going to run, you want him to run through, the area that you want him to run. You don't want him to be able to get outside the perimeter. That's where trouble happens. So as long as you can contain him within a parameter, that's the best way to be able to do that. So bring your defense, keep your defensive ends wide, get your defensive line to stay within their lanes, and you dictate what where he's going to run, because you can't keep a guy like that contained forever. So when he runs, you create the narrative. If you're going to run, this is where you're going to run.
So when we come back, we will talk to Bill about that 7 overtime game against the Arkansas Razorbacks and talk about the game as a whole. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if that bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets across the app. It makes every game much more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick, easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to Sundays. So if you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. And most people can't even name their financial accounts, even what they're worth, whether it's a 401k, properties, or investments. When you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. It does all the heavy lifting. You can link all your accounts in minutes. Clear visual data is there. Get smart categorization of your spending and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. I'm using Monarch to help maximize investments, increasing my savings rate, easily reviewing finances with my wife and or financial advisor when I need to do it, keeping a clear view of my financial health week to week and long term. Don't let this financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use the code Locked On College, all one word, at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at Monarch Money with code Locked On College. All right, Bill. With Arkansas coming to Oxford, we have to talk about that fateful 2001 night, essentially, to where it was 7 overtimes, and there was the duel between Matt Jones and Eli Manning. And honestly, once it hit the 5th or 6th overtime, you just kind of started feeling bad because you could see the tiredness on the field. It's like somebody's going to get hurt.
Well, that was, if I'm not mistaken, Arkansas went 2 games later, and I went 9 overtimes with Kentucky, I think. Yeah. And after the season, the NCAA said, no more. This can't happen, because it was just, you're literally playing 2 games. You're bound to get hurt. So that I'm sure in the back of the players, we didn't think about it. We're 18, 20, 22, 23-year-old kids just wanting to play until we win. But now as older, you're thinking those coaches were probably thinking, holy crap, I hope we don't get somebody seriously injured here for the rest of the season. But yeah, it was brutal. I remember coming to the sideline after a comeback, went upfield, hit the quarterback with everything I possibly had. I was dizzy. I was seeing blurred. Came to the sideline, didn't tell anybody. Went back in the game, still was seeing blurred. The game was over. Came back to practice on Monday, put my helmet on, and I was seeing blurred again. I was like, what's going on? I took my helmet off, looked at it, and I had broken the metal bar on the face mask above my eyes, and so that's what was causing me to see blurred. Wasn't a concussion, which maybe I did have, but that metal which was broken. So yeah, it was brutal.
Yeah, it was crazy. There was one pass. Let's see. I think Eli threw a touchdown pass to Jamie Armstrong. I think it was Jamie Armstrong. Or somebody in the end zone ran a post under the goalpost. And I'm like, okay, they're finally they're going to take control. But the defense just couldn't do anything with Matt Jones. It honestly just wasn't fair that night.
Yeah. Again, when you have somebody that has legs like that, he was a player way before his time. Matt Jones, would he be as successful today as he was back then? Probably not, because defenses are more aware and adaptive to that style of offense. If Cutcliffe would have said, hey, you know what? We're going to have a spy. Let's put our best linebacker or a dime package safety. Your one job is to spy Matt. You do not, wherever he goes, you go. Does that change the game? Probably so. But that was, you never saw that kind of player. That was so unique. And when you have somebody like that, you better have a spy. You better have the athleticism. And there's nothing worse to be an offensive player. And we had it a couple times, a la 2003 against Texas Tech at home. We knew whoever had the ball last was going to win, and so that game was so morally just demoralizing. But sometimes you end up getting players that you just can't stop, and sometimes just luck has to be on your side.
All right, let's talk Flowers Pee Wee football. What's the update on the Pee Wee team?
Yeah, so it went well. We didn't come away with a W, but we have a lot of room for improving. So the first week to the second week, we're going to adapt. We're going to make some changes and come away with a W this time.
All right, Bill, what do you got planned for this weekend, or how are you watching the game?
I'm going to be at the house with the kids. We've got busy weekend with the kids, football and baseball, fall ball, and probably put some food on the grill, and just have a good relaxing weekend.
All right, before I let you go, who do you got winning this game? What's the score?
Oh, I have Ole Miss. I have Ole Miss winning 28-21. I'm going with the defense to be able to say we can manage in the Petrino offense.
All right, Bill Flowers, thank you very much for stopping by, and we'll talk to you next week, bud.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Howdy toddy.
Howdy toddy. All right, thanks again for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your go-to source for Ole Miss sports. We pride ourselves on offering the most comprehensive perspectives, which is why we're the front door of Ole Miss. If you don't believe me, search Ole Miss podcast on Google. We're like 80% of that page. We're the front door of Ole Miss. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. It helps the show, and it is completely free. Your support means the world to us. And also, in another big moment for Locked On, college football fans, Locked On and Fire TV are presenting College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation alongside two-time AP Coach of the Year, Gary Patterson, and former college star Jesse Holley on Locked On's. Local experts like me will be on that show as well. A college football preview show only Locked On can do. Catch College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season, only on Fire TV. We're trying to also figure out how to get it on my YouTube page as well. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, howdy toddy, everybody. And remember, analytics is just the old English word that means bad football. So see you later.